SNL 40th, they used all our dressing rooms for fancy people. Taylor Swift was in here, and she very sweetly left a thank you note. And I was like, yeah, this is my life now, which I still do all the time. But mostly my life is like picking up my dog and stuff like that, you know. My first season, I shared a dressing room with Kate and Cecily. We were right next to the women's restroom, which I always thought was a big win, because I'm a dumper. Let's see, is this going good? Our first year, I do feel like our dressing room kind of became like the hub for all the new cast and new writers. So like Timmy Robinson and Chris Kelly and Sarah Schneider. You know, I mean, it's also like you're in there for hours and hours at a time, especially in your first seasons because you're not in that much. It is like where the three of us really bonded, which is very nice. My second season, Cecily and I shared a dressing room, and then the following season I got my beautiful digs that I'm in now. You know, no windows. They actually just redid the carpet, gave us new couches because they were eaten by moths. So I'm living the high life. You know, we're in these rooms like all the time. I've tried to just surround myself with little things that just like make me happy. Almost everything in here is like some little reminder of a person either I worked with or something that someone gave to me. So this does become like my home 3 days of the week. I have a framed photo that Colin gave me that is my husband and I giving the finger in the back of a taxi. I really like that one. Truly, like, some of my darkest times have happened in here, which is why I have so many like lotions and potions for like camouflaging. But it's like, you know, we work these insane hours. At the end of it, you still have to come back here usually and keep going. And so I've mostly used this space to like recoup in some way.
Featuring Aidy Bryant.
My first season, I hosted a presidential debate, and it was maybe like my 5th show ever. It was this weird scenario where I couldn't have cue cards in front of me. They had cue cards guys dressed up as extras, and then they would pop up a single card and then pop it back down. And I was so nervous. I remember just over and over again in my dressing room going like, good evening. Good evening. Full psycho. Couldn't stop practicing that because I was so nervous. I still, to this day, am like haunted by that first line where I'm like, good evening from Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. Right before air, a note was sent down, I think from Lauren, that they were like, she looks too young, add age makeup. So they're literally counting down like 5, 4, 3. The makeup artist was like, desperately trying to put like shadow under my eyes and stuff. He didn't mean to, but he poked me in the eye, and they were like 3, 2, 1.
Good evening from Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. I'm Candy Crowley from CNN State of the Union.
But it worked out okay, and like I got to say live from New York, the very first time I ever got to say live from New York.
Thank you, and live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Tom Hanks was also in the sketch, and Bill Hader, and they both like came on either side of me and like ran me down the hall, and all the hair and makeup and costumes people were there, and they clapped for me, and it was like one of the coolest moments I've ever had here. I think of my office as like a place for collaboration and people to come by and us to like write together, and I think of this as like a much more quiet space. If people come in here, it's usually to like talk about how nervous we are. Every time the sketch ends, like you have to run and someone's pulling your pants down and you're ripping your shirt off, and this is like one of the few places that we get to like find a little quiet, and I think it's nice to have a nice little cozy home. And that's what I have here.